Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a species spotlight on the Bronze Corydoras, Corydoras annuus. We're going to be handling the species spot like all of our other ones. We're going to be talking a little bit about the wild habitat distribution. We're going to go into behavior, size, compatibility, color, and so on and so forth on the fish. Then a little bit about water chemistry, feeding, and a quick summary. Now, the Corydoras annuus, or the Bronze Cory, the distribution in South America is over much of South America, in the north from Colombia and Trinidad down to the river drainage of the Rio de la Plata in Argentina, bordering Argentina and Uruguay. The genus Corydoras is one of the largest groups of catfish at over 150 known species. So there's lots of different species of Corydoras, and it's found in a variety of different aquatic habitats, from slower moving streams and pools to very tranquil, ponds and so forth in South America. They're typically found in large groups. You're going to have quite a few individuals, hundreds if not thousands of them, and they're typically found over smooth pebbles or sand. That type of habitat is where you're going to find them. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the behavior, compatibility, size, color, and so forth. The Bronze Corydoras is a very peaceful Corydoras, like all other Corydoras are. In fact, they're a great addition to a community tank. Females get a little bit bigger than males. They get to be about 3 inches long, and when you look at them from the top, they're broader and bulkier typically, especially when they're well conditioned, versus a male. Males will be a little bit shorter and slimmer, a little bit thinner looking. The typical ratio you want to maintain them at is 2 males for every female. That's particularly true when you want to breed them. The size of tank minimum should really be about a 10-gallon if you're going to keep 4, maybe 5 individuals. Better yet is to look at a standard 30-inch tank, like something in like a mid-sized 25-gallon aquarium is really best, 30 inches long, and you keep a group of 8 to 10. The tank setup really should be smoother gravel, nothing sharp. Their barbels will get damaged by sharper gravel, or it will induce issues with mouth fungus and so forth. So I'll make sure it's either smooth, fine gravel or sand. They like to rummage about the bottom, so an open area when you're setting it up, make sure you have a nice open area, swimming area, where they can cruise over the substrate, preferably a sand type substrate, where they can rummage through the sand looking for food. That's really what they prefer to do most of the day. They feed readily during the day, but when you're keeping them, make sure that if you've got a lot of faster moving fish, that they do get to feed properly. Now, that's an important point. If they're out-competed a bit, you may want to add a tablet or two at night when you shut off the lights. Corys will typically be active at night too, when they're and actively search for food when there's very little light in the aquarium. Now, the way that these fish are typically reported to keep a tank clean is by that rummaging action through the sand or through an appropriate substrate. The waste or debris lifts up and it's more easily picked up by the filter, and that's really how they contribute to a cleaner aquarium. The type of filtration, you want to have a moderate amount of water movement. A typical canister filter setup is ideal, where you have a nice current going along the surface with a spray bar, for example, or a nozzle that's properly located, and so that you help oxygen levels. That will benefit them as well. Think about decent oxygen levels for Corydoras. Now, as far as the coloration is concerned for the Bronze Corydoras, they are, as the name implies, a bronze kind of colored fish. In the center, they tend to have a darker, more olivey green kind of coloration to the body. Now, water conditions for the Bronze Corydoras, typically the temperature range you would keep them at is between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning 20 to 27 degrees Celsius. For typical maintenance purposes, 75 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. To stimulate spawning activity, for example, a quick drop to 70, between 65 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit actually really triggers them to spawn. If you've set them up, we've conditioned the fish and you have them in a breeding tank, if you want to see some pretty immediate breeding action, a quick temperature drop is very effective at doing that. The pH range is fairly wide. It's about 6 to 8 that you can keep them at successfully. We prefer about 7, 7.2. The hardness level would be about between 3 and 18 degrees of hardness. Again, mid-range for them for typical aquarium keeping purposes is perfect. You want to somewhere between 7 and 10 degrees hardness. Now, in terms of water quality, it's very important for Corydoras. You want to make sure to be doing regular small partial water changes, what we typically suggest for most tropical fish. It's important for them. They do require well-oxygenated water with some good surface movement so that you have good levels of oxygen. So the regular partial water changes to get rid of any buildup of nitrogenous waste is very important. Good water quality is key for maintaining these fish. Now a little bit about feeding the Bronze Corydoras. They have small mouths, and typically for all Corydoras, it's a little bit of a snout with barbels. Their mouths are pretty small, so whatever sinking granules you're giving them, make sure they're for smaller fish. They will more readily feed on that more easily. Tablets, they will work away at and feed on bottom feeder tablets very well as well. Flakes that you sink, they readily devour those. If you're keeping them in an ideal setup with sand, and something that's really cool and fun to watch is taking a cube of freeze-dried tubifex, if you've got a group of 10 or 12 Corys, and burying it partially in the sand and watching them dig that up and just go crazy on the tubifex is a lot of fun, actually. Smaller frozen foods, brine shrimp, daphnia, black mosquito larvae, bloodworms, they relish all of those things. So yeah, you can vary their diet with some of that, and as an occasional treat with some live food. If you've got yourself a white worm culture going, that would make a great addition to feeding them as well on a supplementary basis. So in summary, the Bronze Corydoras is a top choice for many community aquariums that harbor peaceful, schooling species of fish, or not the community tanks are set up with a lot of fast swimmers or any semi-aggressive species. You want to avoid that. But for peaceful South American type tanks with smaller tetras, or you can incorporate some rasboras if you want to, live bears and so forth, really peaceful tanks. These are a great choice. Their antics, they're very playful fish when they move about the bottom of the tank. And being as you should be keeping them in school, there's a lot of interaction between the individuals too. They really are a pleasant addition, and they are strictly a bottom species. So that part of the aquarium is really not typically occupied by too many fish. They spend their time schooling about there. So there you have it. Bronze Corydoras, one of our favorites. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe below. Till the next time.